I'm not certain whether Sanders will ultimately evolve into a franchise-defining quarterback, but when I hear critics downplay his performance by saying, well, he's just going up against backups, I can't help but push back. So are 50 other guys across NFL camps, yet none of them are completing nearly 80% of their passes. There's something undeniably compelling about a player who sets a college accuracy record, then strolls into minicamp and replicates that precision on the professional stage. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. One of the first traits I evaluate is whether a player's signature college strength actually translates. When a guy like Tebow, an electric athlete in college, couldn't outrun defensive ends in the pros, it was a red flag. Johnny Manziel, he scrambled at will in college, but couldn't even outpace NFL linebackers. That's a problem. But if your primary weapon is pinpoint accuracy, and you're still completing nearly 80% in camp, that deserves serious respect, because let's be honest, nobody else in the league is doing that. You're absolutely on to something here. The future is built on a chain of right nows. And so far, Sanders is maximizing every moment. His college resume speaks volumes, but what he's done so far in camp has genuinely impressed me. And I'm not someone who usually overreacts to guys throwing in shorts and helmets. But Shedeur has shown poise, maturity, and command. Now let's talk about that quarterback room. It's a complicated, fascinating puzzle. 4 quarterbacks? That's at least one too many. And that's before you even factor in the looming Deshaun Watson question mark. Realistically, the team is going to keep 2, maybe 3, which means someone's getting cut or traded. What's wild is that you could make a case for all 4 QBs having a legitimate shot to start. Personally, I don't think Shedeur starts week 1, but I wouldn't rule out him making the final roster and potentially seizing the starting job mid-season if things break his way. The real decisions will start in August. The Browns tracked reps during OTAs and minicamp, but those were just data-gathering exercises. Training camp is where the real story begins. The staff wants to know, does Kenny Pickett have what it takes to be the guy? Can Joe Flacco at 40 still deliver in spot starts? And how quickly can Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel adjust to the speed and complexity of the pro game? That's what spring was about. Transition, exposure, and adaptation. Once training camp hits, reps become currency. The distribution of those reps will reveal the pecking order. Unfortunately, with the league reducing preseason reps and shrinking opportunities, it's getting harder than ever to evaluate rookie QBs. That raises the stakes and could force a trade. Here's a thought. If you try to stash Gabriel on the practice squad, someone's going to steal him. So do you trade Kenny Pickett and get future assets in return? Because keeping 4 quarterbacks is out of the question. You probably retain 1 vet, Flacco or Pickett, and both rookies. But again, if Gabriel balls out in preseason, his trade value skyrockets. Then it becomes a matter of return on investment. But let's cut through the noise. Does Shedeur Sanders truly have a shot at winning this job? Absolutely, but only if training camp validates the hype. Forget OTA heroics. Camp is where reputations are forged, and Shedeur himself knows this. He said during minicamp, "When it's time to take your rep, you better make it count." Joe Flacco didn't even throw much in OTAs. They were prioritizing the young guys. But that means when Flacco gets his turn in camp, he has to capitalize. With just 3 preseason games, and only 2 that really matter, it's a narrow window. One standout performance could shift the entire depth chart. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm standing here holding my laptop awkwardly. Caught me off guard? Yeah, I thought we were heading to commercial break. I was actually mid-order for a dumpster pickup from Waste Management. Real life never stops. But neither does NFL madness. Your destination for jaw-dropping, pulse-pounding football drama that keeps you glued to the screen. And today, we're diving headfirst into the quarterback chaos in Cleveland, a full-blown identity crisis unfolding in real time, driven by one unlikely name, Shedeur Sanders. This isn't just a competition. It's a war for the future of the franchise. And Sanders, he's igniting a firestorm. Let's look at the raw data. This fifth-round pick from Colorado entered Brown's minicamp as the fourth-string quarterback, an afterthought, expected to ride the bench or maybe land on the practice squad, but he came out firing, 41 completions on 53 attempts. That's an astonishing 77.4% completion rate. Add 9 touchdowns to just 1 interception, and you're looking at numbers that should have everyone sitting up straight. For context, Joe Flacco, Super Bowl MVP and the presumed bridge quarterback, went 18 of 35, just 51.4%. Kenny Pickett managed 38 of 63, hovering at 60.3%. Sanders didn't just hold his own, he dominated. And he did it with second-string receivers, not the starters. That's not just good. That's NFL-ready elite. This QB battle isn't over. It's just getting started. And Shedeur Sanders is making it very, very hard to ignore him. With backup receivers and second-string protection, Shedeur Sanders is flat-out embarrassing the veterans ahead of him. His college legacy, ranking third all-time in NCAA FBS history for completion percentage, is now translating to the pros with frightening efficiency, causing coaches and analysts across the league to rethink everything they thought they knew. One insider summed it up best: Sanders' precision, timing, and accuracy are exactly as advertised. But here's the twist. He's doing all of this while barely touching first-team reps. How is a rookie this calm, this accurate, and this dialed in under such intense pressure? But the numbers only scratch the surface. Behind the stats is a rapidly brewing controversy that's tearing Cleveland's quarterback room apart. The Browns' quarterback situation is a full-blown pressure cooker, and it's about to explode. You've got Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl veteran, meant to be the steadying hand. Yet, his 18 for 35 performance has whispers circulating. Has Father Time finally caught up? Then there's Kenny Pickett, the former first-rounder imported from Pittsburgh with something to prove, but a pedestrian 38 for 63 stat line screams inconsistency, not redemption. And don't forget Dillon Gabriel, a third-rounder who was hyped as a long-term solution, but has been underwhelming at 48 for 83, barely scraping 57.8%. Then there's Sanders, quietly dominating, quietly exposing the cracks in Cleveland's QB plan. Here's where the plot thickens. Head coach Kevin Stefanski keeps preaching open competition. Yet Sanders is the only quarterback not getting first-team reps. Why? Is it politics? Are the Browns protecting veteran egos? Or are they simply afraid to admit that they struck gold in the 5th round? Former NFL wideout James Jones even backtracked on his original take. I didn't think Sanders would even get reps, but if he balls out in preseason, he needs to start week 1. And fans? They're going nuclear on social media. The Titans lied, the Saints lied, Everyone lied about Sanders, screamed one user on X. Because here's the truth. Sanders is too good, too fast. And the veterans? They feel the pressure. Pickett's looking over his shoulder. Flacco's time is evaporating. Gabriel's draft stock won't save him. This isn't just a QB battle, it's a full-scale dismantling of the depth chart. So if Sanders is this exceptional, why isn't he getting a real shot? Let's cut through the noise. The Browns are at a defining crossroads. Since Bernie Kosar, they've been stuck in a nightmare loop of failed projects, stopgap veterans and front office blunders. But now, a fifth-rounder might be their most gifted quarterback in decades. Here's the problem. They can't keep all five quarterbacks. Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, Sanders, and the injured Deshaun Watson. Someone is getting traded. Someone is getting cut. And whispers are growing louder. Will it be Pickett, the former first-round pick, barely clinging to relevance? Will it be Flacco, the aging vet whose arm looks worn? Will it be Gabriel, whose draft position may not shield him from the axe? The politics are suffocating. Stefanski's open competition narrative feels like hollow PR spin when Sanders is buried with the twos. But the tape doesn't lie. Sanders is making NFL-level throws, tight window lasers, sideline daggers, layered, deep balls. These aren't throws rookies are supposed to make. Even Myles Garrett took notice. You like working with people who bring that kind of edge. If Sanders finally gets first-team reps in training camp, the entire narrative shifts. But if the Browns keep slow-walking this, they risk alienating their fan base and squandering a potential franchise savior. The clock is ticking. Training camp begins in late July. And then, the war begins. 3 preseason games, limited reps, an impatient fan base ready to riot if Sanders doesn't get his fair shot. If he keeps firing at a 77.4% clip, keeps dropping NFL dimes in full-speed drills, the Browns won't have a choice. They'll have to give him the keys. And if he dominates preseason, forget Week 1 starter. This kid could be the face of the franchise by mid-season. This is bigger than Sanders. This is about a broken franchise desperate for revival. If they let internal politics bury the best quarterback on the roster, they'll be the laughingstock of the NFL. Again, but if they embrace Sanders, if they ride the rookie who's outperforming vets while getting scraps, they might just have their Dak Prescott moment. Cleveland fans, this is your time. Demand accountability. Demand vision. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback, he's a revolution in cleats. Let us know in the comments. Is Sanders the future in Cleveland? Or are the veterans still holding the throne? Smash that like button, subscribe to NFL Madness, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a twist in this quarterback saga. This QB battle is a ticking time bomb, and we'll be right here when it explodes. Until next time, stay wild, stay loud, and stay mad, NFL fans. It's not even close. Shedeur's got the arm strength, the pocket feel, the composure, and most importantly, he's got the it factor. That's something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And Shedeur's got it in spades. Now, of course, there's politics involved. Draft capital matters. Coaches have to justify their decisions. There's hierarchy in the locker room. But here's the truth. If Shedeur keeps stacking good practices and starts cooking in live action, none of that matters. Because the film doesn't lie. Even Deuce Staley said it. We're still in pajamas. But when the pads go on and it's full speed, that's when we'll really see what he's made of. And if he shows out under the lights in preseason, then Cleveland's got a real decision to make. So yeah, Shedeur might be listed as quarterback 4 on the chart. But that's not a reflection of his ability. That's just how the league works. It's about draft slots, not skill. But now that the coaches are saying this is a fair fight, my expectations completely flipped. If this is a true competition, and Shedeur's getting legitimate reps, then I'm calling it now. He's more talented than Gabriel, more explosive than Pickett, and the only guy who's got a legit edge is Joe Flacco. And that's purely based on experience. You can't fake 2 decades in the league. But how long can Shedeur close that gap with his raw athleticism, high-level instincts, and uncoachable talent? And that's why, suddenly, the whole NFL world is watching the Cleveland Browns. In June. When was the last time that happened? Usually the Browns make headlines for dysfunction, or Deshaun Watson drama, or fans bracing for another wasted season. But now, it's all about a rookie quarterback, a 5th rounder, a non-starter, who somehow has the league buzzing. That tells you everything you need to know about the kind of shockwave Shedeur Sanders is sending through the NFL. And if he keeps climbing, Cleveland might just have its next franchise quarterback, and no one saw it coming. His upside is real. Shedeur Sanders, the wild card, drafted in the 5th round, labeled a project, but he's already proving the doubters wrong. With a gunslinger mentality, impressive college pedigree, and NFL lineage, Sanders has flashed elite instincts and next-level confidence. During OTAs, he threw 3 touchdowns and completed 7 of 9 passes, enough to stir the fan base into a frenzy. Yet controversy brews. Despite Shedeur's strong performance, the coaching staff is easing him in, giving him fewer first-team reps. Some call it smart development, others call it hesitancy. Former Browns HC Eric Mangini weighed in, "This hype train in Cleveland is so ridiculous. It exploded the second he got here. Stefanski's just trying to slow it down." Still, Sanders remains unfazed. He's all in, patient, focused, and determined to earn every rep. And as training camp looms, the stakes couldn't be higher. The coaching staff will be evaluating more than arm strength or mobility. They're watching for leadership, mental resilience, and the ability to handle the pressure cooker that is the NFL spotlight. This QB competition is about more than talent. It's about consistency, maturity, and the ability to deliver when it counts. Across the league, teams are searching for their next franchise quarterback, and the Browns' journey reflects that very pursuit. From fleeting hope to painful resets, Cleveland has waited long enough. That's a painful hit for a team walking the tightrope between retool and rebuild. And don't leash.